I judge everybody based on how they are. I don't judge them by their wealth. I know poor people who treat me royally. And I know poor people that treat me like shit. I know rich people that treat me with respect. And I know rich people that don't. Dollar sign never made a difference as the character of the individual. Stop putting that stuff in my mind. I don't want to hear it. I was 21 years old saying these things. I was in the army. Couple of guys telling me you'll never be rich. I don't want to hear it. Say it to somebody else. I worked at Bally's. A guy named Jose was one of my boss. Why are you reading all these books? I can tell you exactly what book I was reading at that time. What author I was reading. I was 21 years old. You're wasting time reading these books. You're never going to be a millionaire. I said, you can say it to yourself. Don't ever say that to me again. I stopped those thoughts. I don't want it to enter this mind.
Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 382. Hope you're amazing as always. Do you know what? Change countries, sitting here looking at a beautiful view, and makes you appreciate things. You know, I live in a few different countries and in Latin America. I never say which countries just because, you know, I like to stay a little bit private in the public, but kind of private, you know, and it always makes me, traveling's a beautiful thing. I've done this for 20 years, lived in 9 different countries. And I don't say visit, I mean lived. We're talking 6 months, a year, 5 years, you know, things like that. I've actually been bouncing back into the US for 15 years, well, probably 14 years, you know. But I love Latin America because the vibe is just so different. And the expats, you know, people who from other countries who live in these countries, called expats if you don't know, they're very different. Even the Brits, right, originally where I'm from, British people in general who live in the UK, they've changed a lot, but they're a little bit behind in the mindset and the little mentality. But people who live in different countries, they're a different breed, you know what I mean? They work for themselves, they're online, they got a digital business, or they actually own physical businesses in these areas. So they're all entrepreneurs, right? So that means visualizing things. That means taking risks. That means they're in massive growth mode all the time. And those are the people I love to talk to the most, you know? And I'm sure that's you too. Listening to this show, I'm sure that's you. It always makes me humble when I come to these places because you see wealth and you see such extreme poverty. It doesn't mean that anyone's happier or sadder. It just means there's a difference in wealth, you know. I've said this for many, many years, but the happiest people I've ever seen is when I've lived in Fiji and Bali. And they didn't have much, but they enjoyed life. They weren't chasing money. They were just enjoying day to day and just being around family and friends. And I love that, you know. I love that. It's not my vibe, but I also love that side, and it should be more of my vibe. It's just amazing to see different cultures and different way people live. You know what I mean? And as I say, traveling around the world for 20 years, it gives you a different perspective on everything. It really, really does, and I love it because there's not one way to do life. Do you know what I mean? There's no rules to this game. I mean, everyone listening to this show, including you know why you're here. This is about business. This is about persuasion. This is about performance. Yeah, using NLP, neuroscience, behavioral psychology, and real true business knowledge. I've looked into the minds of thousands and thousands of some of the highest level performers in the world. And, you know, everyone's living in such a unique bubble. Such a unique world, you know, no right, no wrong, no good, no bad. But we think that we're the center of the world. You know what I mean? We're the most important people. And you might not think that's what you're thinking, but it's always true. It's true. I think I'm the most important person. And the most important thing for me is about helping lots of other people, right? Thousands of other people. but I'm still the most important thing, right? And it's the same with everybody. And it kind of should be. Now, I do this because I'm in service and I help so many people, you know what I mean? We're talking about building brains, we're talking about building businesses so we can create ripples of massive impact, you know what I mean? So it's the same with sales. Why I launched the Unfair Advantage Academy is to double people's income inside of 12 months if you're in any type of sales, you know, or an entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur, you're definitely in sales. But why? So you can buy a Lamborghini? Well, if you want a Lamborghini, go and buy one. But I prefer you to then go and put that money into charity or go into help people or create a bigger ripple effect, sort your family out, you know, sort your friends out. That's the point, right? Because once you've had shiny stuff, nice cars and lived in nice houses, they're just cars, they're just houses. It doesn't mean what it means if you haven't had those things. Do you know what I mean? So the bigger picture, if everybody strived to create a ripple effect, to be able to help other people with the money, with the service, with the knowledge, with their education, with teaching people how to be the best version of themselves, then the world would be a very different place. It'd be awesome, man. It'd be absolutely awesome, you know? But I think we got a long way to go. But this is my piece, and if everyone does their piece, then that creates a big, big ripple, right? So why am I ranting on like this? I'm just here to help, you know? This episode, this is really exciting for me. This episode will hit over 2 million downloads. You know what I mean? It will. This will take me on to over 2 million downloads. And we did it in under 400 episodes. That's pretty good. But I know we're going to hit 3 million really, really fast. I think we'll do 1 million downloads within 6 to 12 months. Let's say 12 months. I think it's taken quite a few years to hit the 2 million, but I think we'll do it in 12 months. I think we'll do another 1 million. And the reason is because I've decided to really come out from behind the scenes. Do you know what I mean? My lifestyle is all about freedom, if you didn't gather, right? Traveling, enjoying, you know, earning great money, helping amazing people. But really, it's about lifestyle. But now I've made a decision. And the decision is to show how I go balls to the wall. Show what I do to private clients behind the scenes and how I take them to a whole new level. And that's why I'm excited about this. So I'm going to come out from behind the scenes and I'm going to be everywhere. So what does that mean? I can help more and more people. So that's why the downloads are going to blow up. Just watch. I'm even going to let you know, right? We'll head where we're at 6 months and I'll let you know where we're at 12 months. So call me on this, you know? So speaking of awesome stuff, where are we at today? Well, we've got Patrick Bet David again. We have a beautiful clip from Patrick Bet David. I love this. I love this because it's actually connected to Neuro-Linguistic Programming, NLP, which I'm a world-class expert and I've done for like 20 years. And especially have done it for 15 years, specifically in performance and sales, right? So what Patrick Bet David is, if you don't know him, he runs a $100 million insurance company. He's got 20,000 salespeople working for him. Quite a few. I've just got a couple of salespeople working for me. He's got 20,000, you know? And the truth is, he talks about language. So understand the concept of NLP. Neuro, the brain, linguistic, words, programming, okay? Now, my systems is called neuro-conditioning because I work with performance. So neuro-conditioning means that I'm conditioning your brain and nervous system for massive expansion so you can step into the next side of your growth of your business or step into a TV set if you've been there, because I've done all of this with NBC people and all of the rest of it. But that right there is I condition the brain and nervous system to respond how you want it to in unknown areas, right? Or uncharted waters or blue oceans. So neuro-linguistic programming is really one of the key concepts is language dictates the world that you live in. I'll say that again. Language dictates the world that you live in. But why? Because if you can't describe something in absolute detail, then you are living in a different world. Let me explain. I really suck at maths, right? And I said that intentionally. I really suck at maths. That is an old belief, right? And it's also kind of true. I've got a lot better, but I'm still not good. It's not my natural skill. I can talk. And guess what? So can I talk to a high-level mathematician about certain specific equations? No. So I can't communicate that way at that level. Now, if we're talking mental performance or we're talking psychology or influence, persuasion, yeah, I can handle myself with probably most people in the world. But with maths, I can't. So that just shows you, because I don't know the level of detail, meaning I don't know the level of words, which means I don't know the concepts, which means I can't live in that bubble of reality. So it's the same with money. Think about this, right? If you've never had money, you can't explain money. You don't know what it feels like with money. You don't understand how to invest or where to put it or how to use structure across the world. Then you can't really have communication around money. So you can't live in that world of money. Same with sales, right? If you aren't experienced in sales and you haven't been through 1,000 sales calls or meetings or whatever it is, then you can't talk the language of experience around what it's like to be a high-level salesperson. Does that make sense? So neuro-linguistic programming was developed around the linguistic side of how our brain is structured. Now, that's saying NLP is like a very simple thing. It's definitely not. It's really about looking how people use unconscious strategies of how they perform a specific skill so we can replicate it, right? So I could elicit a strategy of how someone physically runs. I could analyze how their body mechanics, NLP could be used for that. I could also analyze how they or mentally structured to perform when they're at that start line the night before, crossing that finish line, what it feels like to recover from an injury or a loss, right? I can start to analyze their brain patterns or their memories, and we can elicit that and then put those winning strategies into the future for them, right? It's the same with business, same with sales. So how we do the best thing should be how we do everything. Not how we do everything. How we do one thing is how we do everything. It's not the truth, right? How we do our best thing should be how we do everything. Does that make sense? So I take those best bits, memories, right? We look at the language, the camera angles, the emotional content, the belief system. We look at the actual structure of the memories, and then I can pull that out and I build it into a very specific frame. That frame could be you want to step on stage. That frame could be you are growing the business and you're bringing on salespeople, or you are a salespeople, or you could be doing an IPO or merger, right? Or you could be expanding and into the next stage of income, or whatever it is, right? Or we solve problems through lateral thinking, or I build a genius state for you, or a peak state like I would for a professional athlete or world champion, right? And that's what I do for salespeople and entrepreneurs and everybody else. So how you build your brain means it's going to be how you perform in life, in every area. Does that make sense? So what this clip is about is David's experiences around language. And obviously from that clip where we started with, he was showing when he was young that he only wanted to build the neurological patterns and the chemicals of a high performer, a multi-millionaire. And the truth is, what you focus on grows, right? That's the patterns in your brain, the software, the mind muscle, the neurology, whatever you want to call it. And if we can focus and start absorbing, or what I call immersing our brain in what we want to become like, or the people that we want to become like, then our brain starts adapting. And the truth is, that's how we create world-class performers. That's how we do it, right? So I love this clip. It's really, really cool, and we're going to get into it in a moment. So hopefully that helps someone. I'm just going on a bit of a rant today. Look, I'm looking at a beautiful view. We're in a Latin American country again, and life's beautiful, you know? So make sure you're checking out the show notes, or you're heading over to, what? Give me the link. You should know it by now, right? Yes, andymurphy.online. The new site is finished. We're ready to go. I know I keep saying it, but it really, really is. And what else? You should be going over to unfairadvantage.online. What is it? Unfairadvantage.online. If you're in sales, you're an entrepreneur, and you want to double your income in the next 12 months, let me show you how. We've got a couple of awesome tools there. Actually, it's more than a tools. It's a pack. It's called the Brain Hack Pack. And you get that for free just for taking a look. Sound good? Of course it's good. Of course it's good. So go and jump on that now. Hit the show notes out for all the other links, and make sure that you're hanging out with me somewhere on social media. Just type in Andy Murphy Mindset and you will find me. Cool. Should we do it? Let's jump in. Sounds good. And I'll see you at the end of the show.
You ever seen somebody go from a very dark place? I mean, a very, very dark place. They're addicts, drug, alcohol, alcoholic, DUI after DUI after DUI, and DWI, and not good friends, not in a good place. Boom! 3, 6, 12 months later, 24 months later, 3, 5 years later, they're in an incredible place, fully changed, whole different human being. You don't even recognize them. You watch them. You see their eyes. You see the way they walk, talk. Everything they do is so impressive. What caused this? By the way, let me give you the flip side. You ever seen somebody that's doing great? They're doing great things, contributing, good family life. They're in a good place, good surrounding, making the right decision. 3, 6, 12 months later, you don't recognize them. They're in a dark place. What happened to them? Why are they not growing the way they were growing before? This person, same body, same spirit, everything's the same. How is it so different of an attitude and the results they're getting? What causes somebody to make drastic change? You ready? Very simple for me. Words, language. Today I'm on a conference call with my guys, and one of my guys asked the question. He says, Pat, what do you think about burning out? You know, what do you do when you're working and your people are burning out, and just it's burnout and burnout this and burnout that? I said, you know what? First of all, I don't use that phrase. I said, how long have you been working with me? A long time. When's the last time you saw me burn out? I've never seen you burn out. I said, I'm not a robot. I'm not a machine. So you know how I slept last night? I said, how'd you sleep last night? I said, I don't even know how I slept last night. I put my head down. I was gone. I woke up. I don't even know what I dreamt about. I had slept so good. It was like 1,000 pounds on the bed going down because I was gone. I slept so good. I'm not telling you I don't rest. I'm not telling you I don't rest. But I said I don't burn out. Why don't you burn out? Okay, let's talk about that. Everything in life is about language. Everything. There's a word I don't use. I don't use the phrase. I was saying this on the conference. I don't use the phrase, you see the T word? It's one of the most dangerous words in the world. I don't use the T word. I don't like to use the T word. And I don't like people using the T word around me. I'm very comfortable. You said, you use whatever words you want to use around me, fine. Yeah, some of the stuff I don't like, fine. I was in the military. We curse professionally. We curse for a living is what we did in the military. And that stuck with me in works I've done, everything else I've done. I'm not telling you I walk on water here, but I can't stand the T word. Why not? Surround yourself with 5 people around you and let them keep telling you how T they are. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Oh my gosh, I'm tired at 3 o'clock. I need a nap. I'm so tired. Oh my gosh, you're driving me nuts. You're driving me nuts with this T word. You say it, you're right. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say the T word. Just like I don't want to say a lot of words, other words. My dad was in town. I went home, the TV was on, the news was on. I can't even stand watching the news right now. I like the news. I enjoy seeing what's going on. I want to be educated and aware of what's going on with the economy and the market today. But I read today. I don't watch today. It's so divisive today.
Okay, crew, let me jump in there. I love it, right? Because David just talks about everything I'm talking about. I set you up, right? Explaining neuro-linguistic language and the structure of the brain, right? But he's so disciplined, and this is what I love about a high performer, right? They're so disciplined, they won't even allow that word to be said or come into their head, because if it does, that word is connected to an emotion. That emotion is connected to an image or a movie inside of their head, and it's connected to then a focus. That focus is connected to a response or a reaction, right? So if you're not building the pattern, then guess what can't really happen? Yeah, it can't really happen. So what he's been able to do is train his brain to focus on energy, focus on sleep, focus on moving forwards, right? Because something they teach you in the military, not that I've been in the military, but I've worked with Special Force Commandos, right? So what they teach you is it doesn't matter if you can't sleep, you rest your body, but you're gonna get up and you're gonna go and do conditioning and you're gonna go to work, right? So what does that mean? Is that just a mindset? Is that just a way of seeing the world? Or is it a physical thing? Or is your physical thing affected by your mindset? Does that make sense? So we're talking about neurobiology there, right? Neurobiology actually means that you can heal your cells or your nervous system or an illness through the way that you think. Now, obviously, there is a massive amount of science behind that, and it depends on the level of your belief, and it also depends on a lot of stuff. But for example, my mom, she was a nurse on a cardiac ward. She was actually the run the ward for like 20 years. And cardiac care, right? So what's that mean? That means heart attack. That means things like that. And she said she could tell who was going to make it through after a heart attack or not because of the words that they said, their focus, their belief. And if their focus was on, oh, I am sick, then, and everything's going wrong and this is the disaster, she said often they would relapse or they wouldn't make it, majority of the time. But the people who focused on, I'm getting better, I'm going to change my life, I'm going to be on top of this, I'm going to get better, I see the future big and bright, I'm grateful for my life, what would happen? You got it, right? Everything would change and they would heal. So why would you think that would be any difference in business, performance, sales, money, success, happiness, family, right? What would you think that would be any difference between closing that next deal or pushing through to the next stage of your business or scaling or hiring somebody, right? Or hiring somebody. I'm about to hire a team tomorrow, right? And I've been checking them out for a couple of months, right? And I'm ready, right? They're ready. So I'm going to hire them tomorrow. And I'm going to make sure I'm staying on top of it. I'm not just going to allow this team, this strategy to be run by them. No, I'm going to not micromanage, but I'm going to be on top of them. And that's the level of responsibility that you need on your shoulders, brain, tongue, whatever you want to say, right? So what Pat's saying here is, I called him David before, didn't I? Yeah, Patrick, David, right? You get where I'm going. Maybe it's because people call me Murphy, right? Or Murph. So there you go, Andy Murphy, but whatever. You get what I'm saying. So because of that, he understand, he's trained his brain that way. So, and he's taken that level of responsibility. So my question for you is, Are you taking the level of responsibility for your language, who you are, and your actions every single day right now? Only you know.
It's so manipulative today. Everything's about dividing today. You know, when you run a Dana White pits his guys against each other. For what? Exposure, competition, bigger payday, people make more money, right? Okay. ESPN, Cleveland, Lakers, Bulls, all these guys. Why? Because it's results, competition, it's great. There's nothing wrong with competition in sports. There's nothing wrong with competition in business. There's nothing wrong with competition in those types of areas. There's a lot of problems with competition in politics. You know why? Because it's mindsets being injected. It's manipulation being injected. And many people are buying it. Long time ago, I refused to buy a lot of different mindsets being imposed to me, both from my mom's side and my dad's side. I had people on my dad's side that would say, you know how women are. They're all the same. They're all the same. They're all the same. You know how they're. I said, stop telling me. I don't want to hear that. Why not? I don't want to hear that. I said, because one day I want to get married and have a family. I don't want to believe that. Don't say it around me. Why are you getting so upset? Because I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. Not around me. I don't want to hear it. On the other side. Let me tell you how these types of people are. Stop telling me how rich people are. I judge everybody based on how they are. I don't judge them by their wealth. I know poor people who treat me royally. And I know poor people that treat me like shit. I know rich people that treat me with respect, and I know rich people that don't. Dollar sign never made a difference as the character of the individual. Stop putting that stuff in my mind. I don't want to hear it. I was 21 years old saying these things. I was in the army. Couple of guys telling me you'll never be rich. I don't want to hear it. Say it to somebody else. I worked at Bally's. A guy named Jose was one of my boss. Why are you reading all these books? I can tell you exactly what book I was reading at that time. What author I was reading. I was 21 years old. You're wasting time reading these books. You're never going to be a millionaire. I said, hey, you can say it to yourself. Don't ever say that to me again. I stopped those thoughts. I don't want it to enter this mind. I don't want to do it. You remember the scene, Pursuit of Happiness? You know that famous scene? I interviewed a real guy, Chris Gardner. I introduced him at an event back in 07, 08. There's a scene where he says, don't let anybody change your mind, not including myself, your father. I don't want to do that. The other day, as a father, I made a mistake next to my son. Talking to this couple, and we're talking about a third baby. They're considering a third baby. My son is next to me. I said, kids are so annoying sometimes. I said it in front of him. My son went under the table. He wouldn't come up for 20 minutes. My heart, my soul was crushed. I didn't like that. All day I thought about it. I went home. I went to my son. I said, we're leaving. My wife's like, is he in trouble? I said, he's not in trouble. Daddy's in trouble. I said, we're leaving right now. We're leaving. He says, where are we going? I said, I got to tell you something. He says, is everything good? I said, believe me, everything's good, but we got to go. I took him in the car. We drove. I pulled over. I said, I want you to look at me. I said, this is a kid with a lot of pride. Very proud kid, and I love this kid. Very special kid. I said to him, I said, I said something today, and I noticed you didn't like it. He said, yes. I said, I want you to know something. He says, what's that? I said, I need you to look at me in my eyes. He says, look at me in my eyes. I said, you know what was the greatest day of my life? What? The day you were born. Greatest day of my life. Obviously, you have two other siblings. Those were also incredible days for me. But up until that point, the greatest day of my life was when you were born. I said, I took you, you stayed at the hospital, you had jaundice. We'd come in, we'd watch the light. Your skin was yellow. When you came home after 5 nights, I put you on my lap. We watched the Super Bowl. That's when you came home. You were born February 1st of 2012. I was the happiest man alive because I named my son Patrick Gabriel Bet David. Patrick is my name. Gabriel's your grandfather's name. Two people that's going to inject the spirit into you. And Bet David is the house of David. Beta, a Syrian last name. Bet David. I said, you fulfilled me because God gave me the greatest gift ever, was my first son. So let me tell you, I've watched you since the day you were born. You've always been very independent. You've always demanded respect. And what I said today was not a responsible statement by your dad. I want you to tell me, I want to explain to you what I mean by this so you understand this part. He says, what's that? I said, here's what I mean by annoying. I said, sometimes is your daddy annoying? Yes. I said, do I sometimes push you too hard? Yes. Do I sometimes challenge you? Yes. Do we have a lot of fun together? Yes. Do you like to wrestle with me? Yes. When I come, do you like to jump on my back? Yes. I said, do you know I love you? Yes. Do you know I love you a lot? Absolutely. I said, great. But I sometimes know you know? Yeah. And sometimes you guys do as well. I didn't mean it in a way for you not to know that I don't love you. You need to understand that part. I wanted to give you my interpretation of the word knowing. You need to know. You being born changed my life. Do you understand me? Yes, Daddy loves you. Great.
Let me jump in there, crew. Now, there's not too many dads who do that, right? Imagine that. We'd all be healed if you had a father like that. But do you know what? He understands how powerful words are. Words can burn. Especially when you're a kid and you're looking at somebody who you idolize. You're looking at they're your role model. That is God to you. That person can do no wrong. That person has influenced you. You look up to them, right? And we've all got memories, good and bad, of when our childhood of people who say certain things to us that we absolutely loved and respected. And people are still healing from traumas, like the whole life, from things that were said. Now, understand, Patrick knew that was going to cause damage. He knew that, right? Because he responded the correct way, because he related it to what was being said to him when he was a kid. And you saw it, if you listen to that section again, when he was talking about his dad and he was like, I don't want to hear it about women. I don't want to hear it. You heard an inflection in the tonality of Patrick's voice. It actually went up really, really high. And that means that's a definite emotional charge. It was a question. It was a pain. You saw it. You heard it, inside of it in that moment. If you rewind, you can listen. And that means there was such an emotional charge still inside of it that he wanted to make sure that his son never had those experiences. Why? Because he knows how powerful words are. And that's why he's such a good salesman. That's why he's such a good presenter. That's why he's so successful. He knows how to be a linguist. He knows how to use tonality, the pace, the pitch, the timbre of the voice. He knows how to direct the conversation, elicit emotions, elicit memories. He knows these things. And that's why I love this clip. It was one of the biggest reasons I wanted to share that clip was for that moment. And I want you to think about that as you communicate with your friends, your family, your next client. I've got a client in an hour and 5 minutes. So I'm going to make sure that I'm on point for that. And when you can start taking absolute full responsibility for your level of communication, then the world gets easier, right? The world gets easier.
I took him home. You know why I did that? I don't want that to linger, because words have so much weight behind them. I don't want that to linger. And we went home. We had a great time. We came back out. There's certain words I refuse to accept. I made a video this week. People got pissed off. Posted on Instagram. 3,000-4,000 comments within the first couple hours. Posted on Facebook. A bunch of different comments. Here's my thoughts about this. I can't believe you said this. Why? I don't like another person imposing their fears, insecurities, and victimhood on me. I'm Armenian, I'm Assyrian. Every year we have the Armenian and the Assyrian genocide. 1.5 million Armenians, 500,000 Assyrians. I am Armenian and I'm Assyrian. These are events that took place over 100 years ago with young Turks on what they did, what the Turkish Empire did to Armenians. 1.5 million people. And there are words that I see my community use where they say victims. I can't listen to that word because I don't see myself as a victim. I don't. It's too powerful of a word. I don't see myself as that. So I'm not going to say, well, we're victims. I'm sorry, I'm not a victim. I don't buy that. So why am I saying this to you? Look, I've seen people change from good to bad. I've seen people change from good to bad to dark places where I don't even recognize them. I don't even know what happened to this individual. And I've seen people go from dark places to bad to good to great. The change from good to bad and the change from bad to good is both caused by words. Be very careful what words you use. You choose whatever words I'm just telling you some of mine. The T word happens to be one of them. I don't like to use it. I talk about it openly with other people and I'll use it. Obviously for the example of this video, I'm not giving the whole word to you, but you know what the T word is. I'm tired. No, not gonna use it. For you, when you're done watching this video, make a list of certain words that you use that don't serve you well. What are those words? Your kids are listening to you. Your siblings are listening to you. Your peers are listening to you. The people who work with you are listening to you. Are those effective words? No, stop using them. Add them to a list, say moving forward, I don't want to use these words. You use them once, be aware, not going to use it again. Then, what words do you want to add to your repertoire? What words do you want to add to your dictionary? Start using those words. And people around you, when they freely throw words around, stop them. Stop them. Don't let them use it around you, because a form of you not saying anything means you're accepting those words. You don't have to accept those words. You can say, Bobby, I don't agree with that mindset. You can believe it. Totally fine. It's America. You have the right to believe that. I'm not buying that. So it's going to stop right here. You can buy that. I refuse to buy that. And then eventually, people around you are going to be like, what is wrong with you? You sound a little weird. No. I'm just being protective of my spirit. Because however I feel, my family's going to feel. And I don't want them to have that kind of spirit in my household. You get to decide that.
So what I want you to do is, especially when you head down this path with me, you're going to start to see the world a very different way, right? You know what it's like when you're in a dark place, a shitty place, a fearful place. The world looks that way. The words look that way. The words that you hear are repeated, and they're not the ones you want, right? They make you feel a certain way. They repeat, and which means the repetition creates the same version of reality. Does that make sense? So what I want you to do, if you change and step up, right? What I want you to understand is that you start paying attention to everyone around you, right? Pay attention to the conversations that they're having. Pay attention to the focus that they're giving. And you'll find that so many people are living in a shitty world, right? And it's their world. They created it, man, in their head, inside out, right? And I want you to hold yourself at a higher standard than they hold you, or you even used to hold yourself. And if you can hold yourself at that higher standard, yes, you can create a new boundary or a new boundary condition around how they communicate with you and you communicate with them. And very quickly, they'll adopt to you. They'll push back at the start. They'll call you this. They'll say you're being weird, all the rest of it. It's not that. It's called respect. It's called self-worth. It's what I call an investor, right? An investor always gets an ROI, right? So what I want you to really look at is who around you is holding you down. Who around you is repeating an old world, an old life that doesn't serve you anymore? Who around you needs to move to a different circle? I'll teach you about circles another time or inside the academy. But it's so important, and this is why I wanted to share this with you today. It's so important that you really understand the power of a language, because if you don't, it's like a scalpel, right? A knife. It can kill or cure you. It can make you millions, or it can make you bankrupt. It can make you happy, or it can make you sad. It can make you have a beautiful life, relationship, business, income, freedom, or it doesn't. You know what I mean? That's why I love traveling, because it gives me a different perspective on life. And the only people that I allow around me, and I get rid of really, really fast, people who are in constant growth mode. I have to have people in constant growth mode. People who want to expand, want more, want to help, want to grow. They just want more. And it doesn't mean they have to be multimillionaires. I don't really care about that. I care about them being passionate and becoming the best version of them. And that could be an artist. But if you're an artist, why wouldn't you want to get money for what you do? Maybe someone just wants to run a small little business, but they take such pride in that business and they love it. Then I love you too, right? Whatever it is, just do it to your best. Does that make sense? Okay, there we go, crew. The end of episode 382. Hope you enjoyed that. If you did enjoy it, please do me a favor. One, write me a review. You can go to the show notes. There's a Linktree link, and you can click on that, and in there is you can write me a review. Please share this with someone. Someone might want to hear this today, and it might help them today. So please share this with someone. And what else? Yeah, find me on social media, and make sure that you're heading over to where? You know the link by now. Unfairadvantage.online. Go there now. Get your Mind Hack Pack for free for just taking a look at what we've got available for you to double your income in the next 12 months and get freedom. Sound good? Beautiful. So kick ass, much love, and until the next time, oh yeah, one more thing. Why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.